Hello and welcome everybody to day 3 of Canadian Esports Nationals. I am Josh Fundy Pafundi, joined once again by Adam Rare, Adam Choles here, and tonight we've got, I guess, our third game of the tournament here. We've got Call of Duty tonight, and this is going to be an interesting one, Adam. I mean, unlike the regular season and the playoffs that we had seen recently in some of these other leagues, this is going to be our first time with MW2 on stream, which should be pretty exciting. Now, bear in mind, this is a brand new COD game, and we are going to be coming into this fairly fresh. I mean, we haven't really had much time. Nobody's really had much time to work in terms of custom games, in terms of lobbies. There's been a fair amount of problems that we've heard about, we've found ourselves, and we've heard about online as well. So please bear with us tonight. There may be a few technical pauses, but we're going to try and get through it and see what we can do. But starting off tonight, I guess if you want to introduce our opponents, Adam.
Yeah, we're going to, it seems like the Saints here tonight, going to go up against Queens at University here for the first match of the night, of course. Not really much information known. Realistically, Saints have had a really good track record in COD. Not too much is known about Queens on the opposite side, but of course, new game. Not really new modes per se, but some new maps coming through. It'll be interesting to see how the Saints adapt to this, because already they've had some really strong results. We saw them in that sort of CEL warm-up tournament, or the collegiate one at least. They did really well, only really losing to Northwood at the end of it, but nonetheless, very curious to see how it plays out, because of course, we saw Vanguard for a lot of time, lots of green, lots of brown, not a whole lot of colors. From what we saw in the warm-up game, it's a little bit better, just a little bit
better. I would have to agree with you on that. I think there's a few maps where the visibility a lot better than Vanguard,
Definitely.
But at the same time, you've still got your classic desert COD maps, beige buildings, brown, right? Like the classic. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of the character models as well are just, a little more dark colors, stuff that contrasts
a little bit more vibrant.
I definitely think will help out. And in terms of guns as well, I'm not 100% on what the CDL rule set is. I mean, currently we can't actually boot into a CDL lobby, so the lobby is kind of being hobbled together in terms of custom rules. But coming into this, I'm very excited to see what guns we have coming through, because, fresh game, fresh guns, and hopefully some fresh faces maybe from Queens. I know we've played them a few times in Vanguard, and I believe in Cold War as well, going all the way that far back now. But yeah, Queens, I mean, they've always been a Canadian roster they've always put up results. So coming into this, it should be a good first match. And we can also talk a little bit about the other side of the bracket, where Royal Military College unfortunately had to drop that one there. So the winner of this game, whether it be Saints, whether it be Queens, is already looking at meeting University of Toronto in that winner side of the bracket.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can get that matchup through, of course. It really depends on even timing on this matchup, because as we mentioned, there's not going to be a whole lot of... We have no knowledge. We've never cast this before, if we're being real, in terms of Modern Warfare 2. We're going into it purely fresh here, and with the game, I mean, we'll just say full disclosure in our warm-up setup there. Hardpoint's supposed to be 250. It went to 300. Who knows what happened? None of us have an answer for it. We're still trying to figure it out as we go along. But nonetheless, once we get into a lobby, we should be good to go. It'll be interesting to see this nonetheless. At the very least, we'll have quite the experience. But just full disclosure, there's likely to be a decent amount of tech pauses. We'll just hope for the best here, but prepare for the worst at that. Nonetheless, I believe we are going to head to a short break while we get ready for that first match. When we're back, we'll be on to map 1 here.
Bested.
And welcome everybody to map 1 after a slightly elongated break, but it only took 2 attempts to get into the game, which is not too bad. Starting off here on hardpoint, we see Priestley pop first blood. Brandon with that I believe it's the Vaznez 9 there. Great weapon. It's going to be the SMG for CDL this year. We also see that N4 in there. Vaznev, that's what it is there. Combat knife from one of the players as well. That's nice to see. I mean, love to see knife kills come through, even if they only have it on the class for a little bit more mobility. It's still funny in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just interesting opener here. I mean, thank you all so much to everyone for bearing with us through that, but already you can see the Saints out to a roaring start here, up already to 38 points before Queens are even able to get a touchdown, and only for a second at that, so St. Clair are going to be able to extend their lead even further, sort of picking up where they left off in Vanguard in a lot of senses, and to be fair, Saints have had a decent amount of time with this game to sort of pick it up in their own right, but nonetheless, you know, already onto that second hard point, they are covering a huge spread in terms of the points already.
Yeah, and speaking of a decent amount of time, get used to this map here, Breenberg Hotel, because it is currently slotted in as 3 of the map selections tonight out of our best of 5. So, you know, we're going to be getting pretty familiar with this map in MW2. It seems Brandon on a bit of a kill streak there on the hard point. Going to be getting so much time. You see only 1 point from Queens thus far, and the kills keep going down from both Bendy and Brandon there on site. Priestley holding down another angle as well. This is, I mean, this entire hardpoint locked down by the Saints. You see Queens just already rotating towards that next one. They're just going to try and set up on this one, but Bendy on that Vaznev is just an absolute demon right now. Also getting this in right now, the TAC 56, another weapon that is also allowed in that AR slot. But, I mean, there was multiple ARs allowed in Vanguard, and we all saw how that ended up. I mean, pretty much just the automaton every single time. I'm sure the meta is going to convert eventually, but luckily right now we might actually see players trying out some new stuff. What an angle there from Brandon. Can he find a second one? There's the headshot to come through. Double kill to clear out that hard point, and Saints continuing their domination all the way from Vanguard into this map 1 here on the Breenberg Hotel.
Yeah, and honestly, thus far, it's just been impressive to see how familiar they are with these maps as well. The make hill going back the opposite way as Queen's able to finally touch back here. Once again, every single corner just gets turned around on. The main thing to note, though, it's a little bit slower in terms of the gameplay than Vanguard. You know, Vanguard, everyone was sprinting around, sliding, shooting, and everything. Here, there's a little bit more of angle holding. You know, it's a little bit slower overall, and even though this is a hard point, it's a little bit just more tactical in that regard. Granted, it is still sort of a little bit chaotic, ends up being a little bit of a death match at that, but nonetheless, you just see how strong the Saints are coming out here. Already up to a 100-point lead. They're halfway to that point. Granted, as we mentioned, the hard point, we don't actually know if it's 250 or 300. We'll find out.
Theoretically, 250, although we know how COD is, especially this recent after launch. But another interesting thing to point out, we did see, I believe it was, I want to say Narcissist, I believe it was one of the Queens players who actually had that TAC 56 in hand, which is, you know, a bit of a heavier AR to come through. But yeah, you're already talking about like slower kind of holding angles play style, and we see Priestley here just locking this down, using the crouch to his advantage. Trophy system set up as well there. I wonder if that trophy system can actually block a few shots for him as well, if he's just kind of like popping up and down behind it might grab a few bullets. Maybe. Right?
I might just catch a few strays there, but nonetheless, control over this hardpoint has been firm for the side of the Saints thus far. You can just see Bendy just got shot down there, but had a nice little kill streak going. Relaz gonna get shot down as well, and finally onto that next hardpoint they go, and Queen's gonna be able to get a little bit more control back in their favor. Those first 2 points, though, absolute domination. I think I saw a score of 99-1 at one point. It was a little bit of a difference right there, but nonetheless, once again, up about 100 points. Queen's able to sort of get their wits about them a little bit here, you know, sort of shaking off the rust from that long break, but nonetheless, Saint is going to go marching in once again, finding a couple more here. Unfortunately for Queens, they don't really have enough members here to contest this point any further.
Yeah, and 30 seconds left on the hard point. You can see Bendy and Priestley with this M4 have just been demons on these angles. Look at the kill feed right now. There was 5 kills from the Saints there in the 1 kill feed. We see Bendy up at 16 kills. Priestley and Brandon, no slouch either. And you see Relaz there. Yeah, hasn't hit those double-digit kills. He's still about 1.8 positive and got a minute and more in change on that objective time. So definitely putting in the work where it's needed for the team as well. You see, in terms of Queens, they're just playing catch-up all game here. And I mean, this is Saints COD we're talking about. You know, new game, right? There's always the chance that some of these teams come out of nowhere. But in the end, I mean, there's a reason Saints COD has been touted as the best in Canada for a while. And you can see the sheer domination coming through from this team right now. 222.
They might be able to close it.
That hard point was cleared out.
Yeah, they might be able to just finish off the game right here. And I mean, a lot of how we're going to be seeding nationals, or the power ranking in the future, is based on nationals, just because it is the main time that we get to see pure Canadian versus Canadian action here. And thus far, this is exactly what we expect. Bendy going to get shut down there, as is Priestley. Actually, good turnaround coming through from Queen, so at least they should be extending it out to that next hard point. But nonetheless, will it last much further than that? Very difficult to tell, because as we see, the Saints just willing to set up for that next hard point. They're ready to just end this game as quickly as possible and try and get it by the biggest margin as well, just to, you know, assert the dominance a little bit.
Yeah, Priestley gets flanked on a little bit there, and Lucid is actually going to win that fight out as well. Brandon on the trade, though. That's 2 kills for Brandon coming in as they start to grab this hard point here. You see the kills come through. You see Brandon holding that angle once again. It's Bendy to clear it out, though. Brandon in a perfect spot with that TAC 56. Look at that AR put in work. Brandon looked like he was about to lose that one after taking the first shot, but that AR is just too strong in his hands, and here it is, 247, 248 before the Saints get cleared out there, but it's going to be scrap time on any point here for the Saints to close it out. Queens literally has to play perfectly to, you know, even have a chance to come back in this game, and you see Relaz clearing 2 out on site there. It's just going to take Brandon or any of these other Saints. You can see Brandon switch back to that SMG as well. It's just going to take them to straight up rush a site, grab literally 2 points, and close out this game. It's all but delaying the inevitable here for Queens as this next hard point now gonna pop up, already contested by these 2 teams. Priestley gonna fall. There's Lucid to fall. 249, 250, and the game is closed out.
Yeah, we're gonna get closed out. I don't know, working that time around as it works out, but yes, the teams unfortunately were swapped. Their Queens did fall in that one. St. Clair are going to be able to pick up that victory for themselves, and of course, looking at play of the game here, just look at Brandon every single time you see this guy play. He's got that crazy aim down pat as well, but it is a 150-point win there to start us off on hardpoint, and honestly, good performance coming through from the Saints. You know, a little bit of a different gameplay. We got to see the differences in MW2 in that sense, just to see that they're holding angles a little bit more. It's a little bit slower paced at that, but nonetheless, still same stuff coming through from the Saints. We know that they have the aim to do so. Really going to be curious to see how S&D goes, because that was one where you always came down to 30 seconds. You came down to like those 20 seconds. Now that's a little bit slower. Maybe you don't have as much time. Maybe you need to invest a little bit more time into that, but we'll have to find out how that works out as well.
Yeah, I think S&D will be an interesting one. You had pointed out just the gameplay in general being slower, and that's with a lot of the sliding mechanics removed and stuff like that, right? So one thing I noticed is players were just jump shotting a lot, like kind of just jumping around a corner and shooting, because really what else do you have to give you an edge in that gunfight? But at the same time, it also comes down to, if they're ready for you to jump shot, then you coming in and just running around a corner could actually dodge you some bullets and win that gunfight. So that's going to be more of, I guess, the mix-up coming around the corner, right? I think it looks like that's going to be key to competitive play in this.
I think so as well, and just in terms of the differences, you know, I think it's almost easier for me to see the difference, because I didn't play Vanguard. I haven't played Modern Warfare 2, so I can just see it and be, yeah, that's exactly what's different between these 2 games. But nonetheless, you know, jump shot's definitely something that you can think of, but, you know, that's going to make people aim higher, and then all of a sudden you run around, as you mentioned. It's just going to be down to the switch up, it's getting a read on your opponent at that. But nonetheless, for the time being, we are going to try and get set up for map number 2. It is going to be S&D on Embassy, I believe it is, but we're going to head to a short break. Once we're back, we'll be back onto the match here between these 2 teams. And welcome back, everyone, onto map 2. Only took us one attempt this time. It will be a search and destroy on Embassy here. You can see Saints, of course, on that right side once again to find out what they go for in this situation. We did see a sniper picked up by one of these players at some point there, but Sue going to be able to pick up first blood, and it's going to be Queens on the attack first, going to be able to get that plant down.
Yeah, supposedly could get in for this plant, but that's 1-for-1 now, thanks to Bendy on this corner. He spots one more out. They're not facing the right way, and that's going to be Lucid to fall as well. 25 seconds left in this one. Relaz, what a shot. That's the TAC 56 coming through in the end. The bomb gonna be defused now, and what an absolute sweep from the Saints.
Wow.
And maybe that's gonna be the meta this time. Maybe it's gonna be a retake meta on a map like this, right? It's a very wide open site. It's very easy to cover all bases. I mean, you just turn around, you see them right there. There's not really too many windows or anything they can be from, as long as you see in the X-ray there, Priestley covering that window, that other building, really the only other angle they have to worry about, and that defuse can just come through after the kills are grabbed. Seeing 2-0 on Relaz, 2-0 on Bendy there. And moving on, Saints on attack now.
Yeah, you know, Brandon was just, scouting out and getting caught out a little bit there, but nonetheless, we'll have to find out what the attack strategy is here because, of course, after seeing what... Smoke? Ooh, a little smoke going down as well. But after seeing that, how quick that retake was, it's going to be interesting to see how the Saints play their attacking side as well, but very quickly looking for this plant on this B side. This tennis court seems to just be a little bit too open almost, and it's just open season for the aim differences to come through. As you can see, already a couple kills. Close the door. See you later, buddy. And as you can see, Sniper not really getting too much value quite yet.
Yeah, interesting to see that, though. I mean, we rarely see snipers pulled out in S&D. I mean, occasionally we see that car in Vanguard, but Sue finds one traded out by Bendy, and it's just down to Jen here, who doesn't really have much to play with. He's been spotted out now. There's multiple angles the Saints can be coming at him from. It looks like he's got an idea on one of them. He's got the drop on him, but it's a knife kill to come through at the end. That's going to be Saints taking round 2 there. We've got Alpha and Bravo now because the names can't seem to decide which side they want to be on, but there it is. Final kill with that combat knife, and it's Brandon's first kill in the game as well.
Yeah, always fun to see those knife kills come through, no matter what game it is, I think. When you're able to get sort of those executes, it's really fun to see, but nonetheless, very strong attacking side. We'll see if they just keep going back to this B site, because it has been just a little bit stronger, I feel like, for the side of the Saints, just because they've got more space to open up. They're able to hold their angles a little bit better, and even if they are caught out in the open, they're trusting their own aim to sort of win them those duels here, and that's exactly what happens. A little bit of a dive coming through, try and get onto this side. All of these smokes, all the grenades just coming out all at once, and Relaz taken down to 17 health, going to back off for the time being. But look at this angle from Bendy around the side. There's one, there's two coming through from Bendy. And already at 2v4, going to be incredibly difficult for Queens to get back onto this site and find any sort of plants. It's actually just down to Jen once again.
I don't know why I'm surprised by the time to kill. I mean, it's Call of Duty after all, and this game has been touted for its time to kill to begin with. Just such a quick one there. But these guns are just shredding these players, and Priestley gonna get that defuse off. 15 seconds to spare as well. That's gonna come through. 3-0 for the Saints right now, and no sign of stopping, Adam.
They're just on a roll at this point, and after what seemed to be a little bit of a closer hard point, all things considered, while it was still a 100-point club there, this time around, it's just domination. It's one member falling from the side of the Saints, but everyone is there to trade it. Priestley even just getting off the defuse for that brief second there and just being like, hey, I see you up there, I'm going to get you. And then just going back to doing their business, boop, boop, boop on the defuse, and good to go. It's a 3-0 lead already for the side of the Saints here, and we'll see if they can continue to push that forward. Bendy's 6-0. They're having the time of their life. They are good for 2 every single round, and they will stay alive nonetheless.
Yeah, not actually sure what Street Bar allows you. You do see, I believe that's the cruise missile to come in for Bendy, but I wonder if they're going to use it, because we saw this a lot in Vanguard where players would just hold their kill streaks for a long, long time. There's the quick scope from Priestley to come through at the starting there. That's the first pick back. 2 kills now for the Saints. Brandon does fall, and the bomb is down. Not sure if Lucid here really knows where it's at, and there's 3 players to work with. Lucid, this could be a crazy one, but the Saints are too ready for it. 3 different ways he can enter that room, and the Saints already knew he was coming from that hallway. You see Priestley there checking every angle. He just sees the door creep open, and it's that X12 to close it off there. 4-0 for the Saints. I mean, there's nothing really else to say. Saints just... It's classic Saints COD, just absolute domination coming through, and I mean, 4 deaths from the entire side of the Saints in this game.
It's just been a concerted effort all together to push onto these sites and get as much space as possible. Lucid, though, going to be able to find a kill of their own. They're actually a couple of rounds kills going back the opposite way, and this is what always ends up happening in these S&Ds. You can get some a little bit of momentum here, but realistically, compared to other sort of typical, bomb plant games, you can't get as much momentum because each round you're basically tabula rasa. You have your 4 members back up. You're going to be even on your weapons once again. So, you can always sort of cheese out some of these rounds for yourself. Maybe find a couple of good picks and you're good to go. Priestley and Erlaz, though, going to try and get themselves any sort of angles. They know exactly where that bomb is planted right now as well, but it's just the angle that they have to hold here. Erlaz is going to be able to pick up another one, but it is all down to Erlaz here. They need to keep in mind the defuse time as well. A little bit of a jump coming through from Jen's going to be able to sort of dodge away from that one. Shooting through the van. Will not be able to find it. He's caught a glimpse of the toes, but it wasn't quite enough, and Queen's going to get on the board.
One thing to mention, too, that was the first time either of these teams went over to that A site to start off. And see, it looks like that's a tricky one on the retake. I mean, you saw he was able to spot the player out. He even spotted out his feet a little bit under that van. But in the end, it's hard because you never know which van they're behind, which car they're behind. And then, of course, you've got that second player there just behind that little barrier where he's able to just crouch, be perfectly hidden behind the barrier, pop up into the standing position, and you've got a perfect angle on that site as well. So that's going to be an interesting one, but Saints using this same, I guess, execute, we're going to call it here, dropping that smoke and just getting into these angles on that B site where Queens can't really look at them from that defense side. They have to play some aggressive rotations here. You can see Narcissist already deep in this building, finds the first one. That Vaznev, crazy time to kill on it. And look at the speed he's running around this map with. One player, Relaz, could get flanked here. Boy, Relaz not ready for the player behind him. Narcissist picking up 2 this round and absolutely tearing through the Saints. Brandon can't shoot it out in the end. Second round going back to Queens, and Queens finding their momentum here after truthfully a rough first 4 rounds.
Yeah, Brandon going for the dolphin dive there.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to kill him, the guns on the bottom one at that point, but nonetheless, a little bit of a difficult situation. You're put into a 1v4. We've seen Brandon and Priestley, to that matter as well, do really well in those 1v4s in the past, but, it's still unlikely. It's one of those, 1% plays at the very end of the day, and nonetheless, they've still got a couple of rounds in the lead here. I think the Saints just need to get themselves back in order here, sort of straighten themselves out, find some of these flankers here, because that's really been what's happening. Narcissist able to get on the flank, find a couple of kills for themselves, and then start to turn up the heat from there.
Yeah, and this is really the interesting thing I've just noticed about COD maps in the last few years in general. So many options to rotate around the map. They're not like very one-dimensional like you'd see in like a Valorant map, or a lot of the older COD maps where it's like, yeah, there's this window you can jump through, but other than that, you're coming up this stair or that stair, right? This one, there's 15 different doors inside of this building. There's 2 buildings that are the exact same. Brandon finds one before being traded out, and now it's Priestley left in the 1v3 here. Bomb is down, and they're playing on the defense, so it's Queens who has to really make a push here, and Priestley can kind of just follow this bomb around the map. He sees that bomb planter, drops him down, drops another one now down to a 1v1. Priestley, the vet, coming through here. But he's going to get spotted out on that ladder, and that's Queens to win by elimination there. Round 3. Now we've got a Surge game on our hands.
Yeah, it's starting to get a lot closer. I think that the Saints maybe getting a little bit too comfortable in their own skin there, and Priestley just trying to hop up that ladder. It's so difficult because you have like a lack of mobility at that point. You're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at that point. But nonetheless, as we move forward, as we push forward towards the later stages of this S&D, all of a sudden Queen is starting to feel really comfortable on this A site. That's going to be something that Saints need to potentially be wary of, as well as a lot of these flanks. This time, though, off that bomb, you potentially can just try and look for a quick plant and then find your picks one by one. Put the pressure on Queens a little bit more there. I think that is the play. The smoke's going down once again.
The smoke bounced off a teammate though
minor.
there. It was a little bit shorter than they wanted to. Looks like usually they try to throw that smoke a little bit farther. Smoke it out closer towards the net there on the tennis court. Bendy spotting out one, spotting out the other foot there, and that's going to be second kill for the Saints in this game. And now it's Lucid and Jen, two players who, you know, they've got good shots in their own right. You see Jen there taking down Bendy with those headshots, but look at this angle being held from Relaz, and now Relaz, he can just look bottom or keep looking at this upstairs. Gonna miss those shots is Jen. Now having to rotate around. The combat knife seems very effective in terms of movement, however. The speed at which these players can go around the map. Brandon with the knife to end the round. I mean, here's the thing about the knife in COD. It seems disrespectful, but at the same time, it's a one-shot. It's a one-shot. It's not like a Valorant, right, where you can one-shot, but you may have to go around and hit them for 2 or 3. There it is, the one-shot to come through from Brandon with that combat knife. Not to mention, you saw Jen there. The rotation speed he had just by pulling out that knife and running all the way around the building. Yes, Saints were privy to it. They probably heard him, I'm assuming, but in the end, I mean...
It was the timing as well. I mean, a really good timing to just sort of climb up that building exactly at the right time, prevent Jen from getting any sort of angle on that. Priestley gonna get shot down from somewhere. Not sure exactly where that came from, but
from that
far
right side there.
And Jen just going to be able to pick up another one. So once again, 4v2 here on this potential A site here. You can see that Narcissist wants to try and plant that bomb there. It's been difficult for the Saints to really contest towards this A site, but nonetheless, still got a couple of members here. Brennan and Bendy, see what they can do for themselves, because it's always so difficult just breaking through that door. They're going to be able to find another one. And as you mentioned, yeah, the knife, it just gives them such quick rotation speed. They sprint around that map so quickly with it.
Yeah, Narcissist going to get this bomb plant down. They've got the player advantage now, but it's Brandon and Bendy, two absolute demons in their own right. Brandon is able to kind of hold down this mid area through this window he's found, but now they've got to make the push. Now it's Saints who are on the timer here. There's the frag to be timed, but he's not ready for that player in the window. There's that SMG coming in clutch. Look at the fire speed. Look at the time to kill on that. Now we're down to an even 2v2. Bendy and Brandon both coming in from opposite sides here. Bendy, is he going to win that gunfight? No, he's not. Both Saints taken down in their own respective 1v1s, and Queens University is putting up a serious fight after what looked like a long gone game for them.
Yeah, it looked as if it was potentially going to be a sweep at that, but nonetheless, Sioux has really come back into their own, really putting down a lot of damage for the team as well. And now, still match point for the side of the Saints here. They're going to be on the
attacking side.
Yeah, they're on the attacking side this time around. Just making sure I got that right. But nonetheless, you can see if they're just able to execute on that B site once again, that has worked so frequently for them. They should be in good shape. Well, they land a smoke off of, not off their teammate this time around, so already going a little bit better here. But look at that, they're just able to pick up first blood in that round just by tossing a couple of frags over the wall. They know exactly where Queens are going to set up, and Sue, the person who's really carried the side of Queens back into this game, is now down. Timer is ticking, and Bendy's gotten a little bit of a rat angle there just off of that top stair.
Yeah, we saw Narcissist actually get shut down there in the first round of the game in that same position, but, you know, we hadn't seen it from that angle before. That's kind of crazy, just being below the stairs and then being able to just kind of pop up. Relaz breaking that second kill for the Saints. Priestley slow creeping that angle with the sniper. Again to trade one back, but is the only form of resistance here, and the time is running out. You're not going to have time to defuse this bomb, Jen. He is going to fall. Saints 2-0 in the series now.
Yeah, and honestly, really well played coming through from the side of Queens to get back into that as well, but Saints going to hold the line, hold serve at that, and winning 6-4 there. You know, really good start to that map. Having a little bit of a misstep in the later stages there around that A site especially, but nonetheless able to sort of hold it down at the end of it. And of course, as we hop over to what will be our third map.
Yeah,
potentially our last map here. Could be interesting to see how that all plays out. Looking at the score sheets there, yeah, Relaz really showing up there, getting a lot of non-traded kills, getting a lot of those solos basically. Yeah, just finding 100%. Someone out, finding the pick at the beginning of the round. But if we are going back to hotel, so
back to the hotel this time for control. In terms of game modes, it's going to be the same as Vanguard, right? You're going to have hardpoint, search, control, search, hardpoint. Correct me if I'm wrong on that production, but I believe that's the order. Yeah, coming through. So Should we go to 4, I believe we're going to be seeing Albagdata Fortress.
Albagra, something?
Yeah, Bagra, there
something,
we go.
yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, we're going to be going to a quick little break once again. We will meet you back on Hotel, this time for Map 3 Control, as Saints try to make this 3-0 sweep happen. here we go back on to the hotel here for map 3 control. Saints on the verge of the 3-0. Are we about to see a knife fight to start it off? Both players caught with their knife out. Narcissist on a 3K to start that one off and even makes it out alive. No time on that control point just yet, but that grenade is going to clear out Relaz up from that top point. We see Bendy moving over to point A, trying to get this tick started. Brandon there for some coverage as well, and with 2 players on point A, this progress should go pretty fast.
Yeah, and you're going to see how much other control they've got across the map, just, holding all these angles. Narcissist going to get shut down there as Priestley able to get on the board as well. And after a little bit of a crazy opener there, I think Narcissist got their 3K off of a little bit of dishonor. You don't bring a gun to a knife fight at that. Nonetheless, you can just see the Saints are starting to get on a roll here. An A point completely secured already. Adding a little bit of extra time onto that clock, and now just going to try and get onto that B site, get a little bit of control. Maybe get a tick down before, they try and get more of a concerted push forward and try and get some kills for themselves.
Yeah, the craziest part was that Brandon almost fought that out until the end, but it was going to be Jen to take him down. Not going to be able to take down Priestley even while he's got the drop on him, and that should be some control around this B site for the Saints, but they're going to have to set up a pretty big push here as there's 2 players, Lucid and Narcissist, set up on this defense. And now that it's only 1 point left, you're going to catch this entire Queens team over towards that. That's nice too. They put a little check mark on the A site now in MW2 here as it comes down.
Oh my, Bendy.
A minute 15 on this last point, and Saints have really yet to find their footing over here because look at all of these angles they have to try to attack from just to wipe out a few Queens players, and then there's still 2 more players left holding down that site. I think it's going to come down to the wire here for the Saints. Time ticking away, not in their favor. There's Jen just holding that angle.
Yeah, it's holding the angles, and that's what's really interesting about this. Normally control would end up going down to sort of this TDM at the end of it, where you're just, trying to find your kills and all of that. But this time around, it's not so much about, it is more so about the controlling as much space as possible, controlling your angles. And look at this, just no real push coming through from the Saints quite yet. They're going to try and put a little bit more of an effort now as they go down to 30 seconds. They need to try and get some touches onto this point, stall out that timer a little bit more. But Queen's just all over this point. Narcissist on a 5K streak at this point. Now, with time ticking down, the flashbang going to stun up. That was allowed for a little bit more. I was just going down next. Their lives are just falling by the wayside. The Saints are just, they're miffed. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, Narcissist coming in after that break, I mean, Queens, keep in mind, they have to make this reverse sweep. They have to win this control game to even keep themselves in here. And Narcissist putting up the numbers for Queens in that first round. But keep in mind, in the end, it's control. Control has always been very defense-sided, even from Vanguard. It's very hard to find a win on an attacking round of control. Now, we're going to see how these teams stack up when it's Queens who has to make that attack.
And it could just end up being one of these situations where the defensive side is just significantly better in that sense. And, we see that sometimes in terms of S&D. You're able to just sort of hold your defense a little bit better than you're able to put your plants down. Sometimes we'll see, 12 defense rounds go back and forth, and we go to overtime, and it's just 1 round you get on the opposite side that you're able to sort of figure it out. But nonetheless, already gunfight starting, but once again, these angles being held so close. It's Narcissist on that first blood. Once again, they've been on a roll, a 7-kill streak thus far coming through, but even still, these angles are just so oppressive coming through. Even when they've got some members down, Narcissist is going to get shut down, and it's just 3 in a row. Priestley and Brandon linking up, finding what it ends up being a bit of a delayed team kill. Shots coming down, though, from Jen onto Relaz. It'll be difficult to hold it, but a little bit of a live lead, and thus far, no real progress being made. A couple of ticks going down. Might be able to get that first tick, but nonetheless, you got to try and control this site, and maybe they're just gandering that this might be the easier site to control compared to A, because last time around, we're stuck on B. My goodness, Priestley able to get a crazy flick there.
Yeah, crazy flick finds the second kill as well, and yes, they did find that first tick, but that's going to be so much progress stalled for Queens as they now have to kind of mount up, regroup, and get this push set up once again. And every single pick that is coming through from the Saints, even if it's traded back out, that's 1 less player to cap this point, which means that point is going to be capped so much slower. 20 seconds remaining on that clock as Queens has to try and make a push happen here. Brandon is just shredding through this Queens team. Every single angle he jumps on, every corner is held by Brandon. Priestley finding a couple kills for himself as well there. And as the time ticks down, Queens might have to drop this round. Priestley grabs 2 before being traded out. 0.1 seconds on the clock. There's only one player on this A site. Relaz gonna flip around, try to find him on a different angle there. There's another kill to come through from Relaz, but Bendy and Relaz taken down in the end.
Yeah, a little bit of progress being made. At least they're stalling it out for the time being, but their lives are starting to dwindle as well. You know, 19-7, that is a significant advantage. Does not matter. The 0.1 seconds will tick down. Time limit gets reached there, and my goodness, Brandon Priestley sort of just woke up, slapped themselves in the face a little bit, and said, okay, let's get this dub, and my goodness, was that dominant from the two of them, the two vets.
17-8 coming into this game. Look at this shot from Priestley. One on the bottom, sees the bullets coming from the top, and just flicks back up to him. Keep in mind that that's at the end of a 3K, too. That wasn't even just a double. He's able to find 3 and shut down any hopes of Queens winning that round. Queens now put into a tough position where they're, you know, 1 round or 2 rounds away from the Saints being able to just take this 3-0 sweep. And here's the problem, or at least not the problem, but here's what I think the Saints need to do. They have to take an attacking round. This game, in my opinion, is going to come down to whichever team finds an attacking round on control here first. And Saints already 1 step closer than Queens, having taken a full point last time. And they're going to start on the B point this time and actually get 2 ticks down before Queens can even provide any resistance.
Yeah, Bendy just vibing in the lounge there, finding anyone who dares walk up here. And this is the biggest difference. As you mentioned, all these angles being held. Last time around, they were able to collect that A point a lot easier. We'll see if they have a little bit more success this time around. But thus far, no one on the side of the Saints has died thus far on this map. And the 3rd round in here, just sort of trying to continue to find that push forward. But once again, once the teeth of the defense come through onto one site, it becomes so much more difficult to push through. And last time, that is exactly where Narcissist was able to pop off in their own right. But this time around, it seems as if the Saints have got a little bit more pep behind their step there, looking to try and get as much control as possible. And already, you know, 9 kills up here. They can go for the TDK win condition if they so desire.
Yeah, and so often you're seeing in these gunfights, it comes down to who takes the first shot. Brandon able to find that one with that TAC 56. Once again, that heavier AR in hand is going to do numbers when you're shooting through objects here as well. You know, even if it's one of those bullets that's finding its way through a wall, having just, you know, a little more oomph to your shot is going to help a lot. There's the 3rd kill to be found from Queens, but they're already halfway through their lives, and Saints are about to take the 2nd point. This could be the attacking round we were talking about. Look at these angles being held. That just comes down. That's just the nature of the game now. Really, it's just going to be hold those angles, get set up, and watch as these enemy players run into your crosshairs. Brandon picks up the final kill in that round, making it 2-1 for the Saints.
And now we saw how strong their defensive half was, you know, even preventing Queens from getting... They got 1 tick, basically, on both of those sites. Weren't really able to get anything coordinated together. And I think this is where Brandon and Priestley can really show their experience once again and say, you know what, we dropped a really bad round 1 in this one, but now sort of reset and recharging here into round 4, just showing that they've got that momentum in their favor. Also on the trophy already, but nonetheless, Relaz holding down these angles on this B site. They know that Queens really likes this B site as well, so they want to try and, you know, nib it in the bud at that point. Already a couple kills coming down. The shots are just not missing really from the side of the Saints. Granted, they are just going to break through some of those fire hazards as well.
Yeah, Bendy, I mean, you saw him. He was just spraying through the curtains there on the 2nd floor, and he found 4 or 5 hit markers over time on just players running by. There's the cruise missile to come in on site A there. Bendy, finally we're going to see a score streak to come through in this game. You see Priestley, Brandon, the rest of the team, they've all got score streaks built up as well. Priestley not going to win that gunfight. It's Lucid for a double. He's going to make his way around the map. There's that A control start to being picked up. First tick, Queens University finding that progress. They were able to find it on their last attacking round as well, but now Queens looks like they've taken a bit out of St. Clair's book, and they're going to say, if we're capping, we're not getting aggressive. We're holding angles. We're going to play off of info, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Bendy can't really push that angle. He can't get aggressive.
He's trying to hold a streak too, you know, 10 streak. That's gonna finally get shut down. And it seems as if they are going to just give over control of that A site. And once again, this is what we saw in that first Saints round, attacking round. They were able to take control of A, but B was the one that was so difficult to secure. And now, you know, you only get an extra minute there. I feel like it's a little bit less from Vanguard at that on that control site. So, actually just the same. We're getting confirmation of it, but it's going to be so difficult to get back in control here. Priestley, Brandon, Bendy all getting on to that kill feed there, and B is the hard site to sort of take control of. My goodness, Priestley's going on the killing spree himself.
Yeah, look at that 5 streak to come out from Priestley. Keep in mind, Brandon's still chilling there at 3 as well. Priestley adding on that streak as it's Bendy in the back line here. He's able to just watch as these Queen's University players spawn in. And every time they try to take one of these outside angles, he's just going to be able to pepper on that damage. Brandon finish off Sue with a frag grenade there, and 8 lives left from Queens. Forget about the point. Saints can play TDM at this point, especially when Priestley is going to be on his shot like that, but finally shut down by Sue. Brandon still got that SMG in hand, still going to be tearing it up here in the building. There's 6 lives left from Queens. You got a 14 life lead, Saints, and 30 seconds left to play. Just play straight up defense on this B site. Shut down anyone who's going to come in your way. No respawns left for the side of Queens University.
Brandon's a tree there. Goodness, yeah, the time is starting to run out for the side of Queens. They really need to try and get onto this point. 3 lives left, no more respawns as we were mentioning. Sue going to be able to find one onto Priestley as well. Now a little bit of progress being made before it is reversed as well. 10 seconds left. Queens need to push forward now. They do not have any time left to play around.
He wants
but
this
even
knife.
still, Brandon going forward. A huge jumping knife kill to finish that one out. And that is going to be the series 3-0 in favor of the Saints. Looking a little bit odd. They showed a little bit of weakness in and about there, especially that S&D, you know, losing 3 rounds in a row. That first part of control there, but nonetheless, showing that Queens is still a very competent team. Saints were still able to cut them down in the long run.
Queens had their highlight moments there, even in control. That first round, they shut down Saints very easily, but all it took was a few gameplay adjustments from the Saints. Look at that, 3k damage coming out from Priestley. He was on an absolute warpath that game, and Saints have closed out that 3-0 against Queens there. You know, unfortunately, we don't get to see more of these maps coming in from MW2, but we are gonna have more COD action coming to you possibly tonight, depending on how this bracket looks, how the other teams are feeling, but if not, later on in the week, as Saints theoretically should have an easy time in this bracket and move on into playoffs, but you never know, coming up against University of Toronto next.
Yeah, that's sort of their next step, their next peg in the ladder, so to speak. You know, if they're able to win that GSL groups, means they just move right on into playoffs there. And after a performance like that, you know, you did show a couple of trips there, I want to say, a couple of, you know, scraped knees or something, but nothing too much to be concerned about there. But of course, we will await to see what Toronto has in store. We are going to head to a break, maybe a little bit longer this time around, but nonetheless, we will get ourselves set up for the second series of the night.